I identify pro-black.
History is about teaching us as a people that we're at war.
I want to speak about the image of our people. We have to be protective of our image.
Our ancestors, they were oppressed, and we are oppressed today.
Hotep, assalamu alaikum, peace, greetings to you all. My name is Jah, and this brother right here is Kev, and this is the Jah and Kev Show, and we're back in the lab tonight with a brand new subject, and the subject tonight we're going to be talking about is the N-word. I know all of you have heard about the N-word. Some of us use the N-word. Some of us don't use the N-word. We're going to talk about all the ramifications. So I just wanted to start off by letting you know this broadcast can be seen on the 1st and the 3rd. What day is today?
Today is the third Tuesday, right?
I got it. Yeah, we jammed
Tuesday,
up.
Man.
Every 1st and 3rd Tuesday of the month. Until you hear otherwise, tell a friend. Tune in. This is a wonderful broadcast because we talk about subjects that a lot of people don't touch. So having said that, Brother Kev, I want to know about this N-word. I've been wanting to talk to you about this for the longest. What do you think about the N-word and its usage? Let's start off by talking like that.
All right. So I'm gonna be straight up. I'm kind of in between with the discussion.
Okay.
I'm not sold totally that this is just some terrible thing that's happening, and we'll discuss that. Now I understand, the negativity of the use of it.
Okay.
So that's where I'm at with that, man. And that's why I want to have this discussion. This is going to be a intellectual discussion about something. I think most of the time people want to have this discussion, and what I see is that the younger people feel a certain way and the older people feel another way. And both of us are a little long in tooth. And people probably looked at this and said, okay, these going to be two old guys sitting up here trying to tell us don't be using this. But I think it's going to be a good discussion. If y'all want to join in on the discussion, have something to say, you could get in at 361-405-6111, and we'll take your call, and we'll be happy to have your input.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be pushing back on that, Kev, a little bit, because I'm under the persuasion that I don't like it. And I'm going to talk about some of the reasoning as to why I think it should be minimized, because I think it's not so much an overusage, but I'm gonna go into more of the meaning and what that has done to us. And now it's kind of like watered down. So I'm sure you get into that as well. But why do so many of us, man? Let's talk about, first of all, we can go into the history of it as far as the Spanish, the Portuguese using the word Negro, Negros, and then it ended to the N-word. But first of all, I just want to ask you, because everywhere I go in my family, man, it's everywhere. Why do we use it so much? I mean, we can't even have this discussion without me calling you that in some instances.
Right. And I think you have to break it down as in generation wise, because I think it used to be a derogatory meaning in our culture and our community because it was used in a negative way where it derivative from. Then I think the thing is the younger generation uses it in a different manner. So I'm saying, so this is what I'm saying. It's used in a different. It's not derogatory when a lot of people use it. It's just like, I mean, there's other words like that, but it doesn't have the same meaning. That's why I think that older people feel a certain way about it, because when we were coming up, it meant a certain thing, and it meant negative. It had negative connotations on it. Now it doesn't have that with the younger people. It doesn't have negative connotations. It means male, like a male. It's a bunch of a bunch of niggas there. It's like that means like, oh man, but nothing but a bunch of dudes there. So that means that's not even in their mind a negative thing.
I got you. And I understand what you're saying, Brother Kevin, and I definitely concur with what you're saying. But what I'm looking at is what does it actually mean? It's like a word is a word. You can't change the meaning. To me, that's ambivalent. In other words, I couldn't call you a B down through the years because you wouldn't accept it. I don't care what has happened to us. We would kind of shun that if that was something that was negative, because the word itself, when you look at the meaning, how it was used, and even though today I know what you're saying, a lot of the younger people, we use it in the sense where it's just a word that we throw, like that's my end, things of that sort. And I get that, but I go back to what it actually meant. It was a slur. It was not only a slur, it was derogatory. And I can't see us changing that from something that was negative to something that's what we call positive, or something that's just not negative
Neutral.
or
It's
positive,
neutral.
neutral. I can't see that, because words have meanings and meanings have consequences. Once again, I do understand why and how it's used like that, but I'm saying personally, I really don't like it, because after so many years, if this is where the ambivalence comes in. If you were African American, you call me that, I might say, yeah, okay, good, so we're gonna smile. But if a European called me that, I'm gonna try to break his face. See,
Right,
so
and that's two different things, though. That's what I'm
you're
saying.
using the same word, though.
Right, but see, I think this, if different people use a word, that means different things.
Okay,
too.
come on,
Okay. Let me give it like this.
Okay,
This is what I always say to people.
Right.
So me spanking my child is one thing.
Mhm.
You spanking my child is another thing.
Mhm.
It's still a spanking,
Mhm.
but I have the right to spank my child and you don't.
Mhm.
Me trying to manhandle your wife and you manhandling your wife is two different things.
Mhm.
That's a marital dispute or whatever.
Mhm.
But then now you got a reason to be coming at me, dude. I don't care what you think my wife did wrong. You can't do that. I don't care what you think my child did wrong. You can't do that.
Okay, I see.
So that's what I'm saying. So it different things could happen. The same thing could be happening and two different people doing it, and it could be right and wrong. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, and I hear what you're saying, but I go back to this too. That situation that you gave, and this is why I like for you guys to watch this broadcast, because Kevin and I, we don't sit down and hash out what we're gonna say, and most hosts. They normally agree on everything, and they just everything they picking flowers out of the garden. But this is a time where you're going to see us both. We're going at it in a love way, because again, when you gave me that illustration, that's beautiful, because that means that that's something that you're doing physically, but the word itself has nothing to do with a physical nature. People have gotten killed behind calling someone that. People have gotten hung.
But is it black people doing it? Well, I mean, with black people, if you call me that, I'm not gonna be like, oh man, and
it all depends. If we had a party and I don't know you,
I'm saying, if I'm if I hear somebody in the street say, yo, what's up, my nigga? I ain't gonna be like, oh man, don't you?
Well, it all depends.
But see, I'm saying I'm not gonna do that.
You would,
because that's regular conversation. Like, I'm gonna give you an example of Nation of Islam going out talking to gang members. They have a certain verbiage,
right?
And to be able to reach them, you got to speak their language. You can't be, man, don't call me that, even though they may feel that way. But it's like, if you're going out to work with people and they speak a certain way, then you got to understand that's the language and the culture of these young people that you're trying to reach. So you can't be all abrasive and offensive and say, man, don't talk to me like that. You're not going to reach them.
Right. And see, the thing that I'm saying is we don't have to try to be offensive. They can use it, because people are going to use this word till we leave. So I'm not to the point where I'm saying whenever you hear it, I'm going to silence you. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the word itself, the origin of the word, the usage, the definition, the meaning, the characteristics, the ambivalence, just how we use the word itself. So that's what I'm saying. So if a person were to call me that, like, a brother called me, what's up, my, what? So I might say, what's up, man? But everybody's not like me, but still that actual word itself, it means something that's negative. And for us to take that word down through the years and try to change it, now we can get to it with other young men and young women. We can still reach them and they can still use that word. I'm not trying to stop them, but I'm talking about the word itself. I'm not talking about the.
So you said that we can't change the meanings of word.
No, we can't change the meaning of word.
Well, actually, because there's a denotation and the connotations of a word.
Okay.
And when you get into the semantics of a word, you say this is what it originally meant.
Right.
And now throughout the years, it has changed. And that's all in scholastic literature and everything. So you do change the like calling somebody a rat, right? That may have meant something totally different. And especially when you talk about black and white dynamics and our slangs and things, because people could say, oh, no, and I see this sometimes when people do this on social media. They say, well, down south, when we say that, you can mean this, you can mean this, you can mean this, and you can mean that, or when we say this in the hood, that can mean this, that can mean that. And this is a whole list of words that they can use, like a phrase. So it's like, things do change, and they do change words. Because like I said, rat. Now you could call somebody a rat back in whatever time, and that could mean like they're a filthy person or whatever. Now today you say rat, that means they're a snitch.
Okay.
You know, and then or something. I mean, because it does change because we are known to change words.
Yeah. But the connotation of a rat and the connotation of the N word is totally different because the N word has never been something that is positive.
It is now, but I'm saying as far as you're concerned, but for the young people,
But
it is.
right. But I'm going to the meaning. I'm not talking about how they
but
feel.
I'm saying that's what I'm saying. That's what that means. That's what that means when you change the connotations of a word.
I respect that aspect of to them it means, but the actual meaning of the word itself has no good thing. And based upon what has happened down through the years, the history, the periods that we've come to, when you talk about the word, I think we need to be very careful in that we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, meaning that, yeah, the younger people, they may use the word, and everybody's not using it all the time, but a lot of people just using it because they don't have anything else to say. They just throw it around. Like people in my family, you know, whenever I speak to them, it's like, what's up? And we talk about something. That and it might be a European. And everything they say is that and that. And it's like their brains have been hardwired to where everybody is that. And I'm saying that's just overkill. And sometimes we have to be sensitive enough to say, if a lot of older ladies were here or younger ladies, a lot of us would respect them from the standpoint we wouldn't even use that word.
We wouldn't use a lot of curse words.
Exactly.
So I mean, a curse word, and the curse word, it may not mean anything to them saying it or young people saying it, but you don't use it around certain professional. I mean, there's certain things you don't say at work, period. You know, so I mean, the company that you keep and you using the word, but I'm saying like slang words, and I think that's when people have to be more tactful and with how they say anything, because you don't want to say anything because I mean, honestly, people can sit up and talk about sex, but it's some people you don't talk about sex around, and it's not derogatory or anything like that. It may be kids around, you know. So that's what I mean. The company you keep and how you using it could mean a lot too.
So when we look at it too, we have to look at it's tied to race, and I'm looking at it from now that's probably where I'm going to another direction and you're not. Because I'm looking at it from a racial perspective as far as how that word was used to not just belittle us, but to degrade us, you know, to put us down and to make us, to dehumanize us. And so that's the aspect that I'm coming at. What I'm open to the other side, because if someone says it once again around me, I'm not going to jump down their throat and say, well, you don't say that. But I'm saying the word itself, we should really look at that word and see why haven't we as a people at least had these discussions, conversations.
And I think that's why I said this is a good discussion for us to have. Now, I'm not an advocate of using that word. I'm gonna say that I'm not an advocate of using that word. But what I'm doing is I'm open-minded because I'm looking at what the reality of that happened. They kidnapped that word from them. You used it as a negative against me. I took that word and now it's a positive. So you can't even, unless I could get abrasive with somebody that's using it.
Yeah.
But now your kids is using that word and they talking to each other, calling each other that word. So I'm looking at it from that dynamic. I'm turning that board around. So, okay, we kidnapped that word. You used to call me something derogatory or had a derogatory meant. Now you don't even have power over me. I could get upset with you saying it, but then if I get upset of a white person or a non-black person using that against me, I'm giving them power over me if I get upset and abrasive. I can, and I'm not knocking anybody that do, but I'm saying, you know what? Okay, and this is the thing about like coming up in New York. It's a lot of different cultures.
Right.
And I remember going to a magnet school. First time I've been around all these different races like that, because my neighborhood was mostly black and maybe some Puerto Ricans.
Right.
So when I got there, then they start, you know how kids do, they call me something and I'm like, what? So I'm calling them something.
Right.
And it's like, if what I call you offends you more, then I won. You know, you call me this, I call you a spick. I don't even know what some of these things. So a chink, you know, with a chink, you know, they calling me a nigga. I'm like, oh, you chink, you know, and then he don't call me, then I won. You know, because what you said is not affecting me. If I allow it to affect me to that point, or even today, if a white person called me this, and you could say, oh, I got mad, and because I'm giving you power over that, I can understand. I could say something back because I got the intellect to degrade you in a way that, you know, that may affect you. So if me saying something to you affects you, then I got power over you.
Well, you're in the minority, and I mean, I think so, and that's a beautiful ideal to have what you said. But the reality is, in many instances, it's not as, you know, cookie cut as you made it. Which you're right in your case, because you've been through a lot of things in life, and you can say that now. But everybody can't say that, and all it takes is go to a party or go to some place where two brothers and they're talking and it escalates, And once it's thrown out, that's going to start, you know, the confrontation. So
All right. So all right, let me get some comments. And I appreciate Ladae Bishop showing up. She said, hey, Josiah, he said they changed the meaning of the N-word. It means homeboy or friend. The only time people would get heat for using this word is when they use the yeah,
okay.
the er in it, you know,
Yeah.
and that's what a lot of times people say.
Mhm.
But some people do get upset when it's the wrong people that say that. I've seen that even in hip hop,
Yeah.
like Fat Joe or you know, some of the Puerto Rican. They look at them like down here, they like, well, they Mexicans, they can't say that. I'm like, well, they Puerto Rican, and they are part of their culture and their history as some of us. Some of them acknowledge that, so they don't mean, they mean it the same way we do. But just seeing somebody else say it, now I seen the Mexicans say that, yo, what's up, blah blah blah, but they talking to each other too. So I mean, we could get upset, and I understand we do, and that's I say that's why this is a great discussion.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm not looking at it one way. Marie said, Hotep, I appreciate you showing up, sister. Sakina, walaikum assalam, sister. She gave the greetings. I appreciate you showing up. And Barbara, she said, hey, bros.
Yeah, because I think too, it all depends too on the person. It has to go back to that person, because if I don't know you and you don't know me, and we're at a party, and we don't have to be drinking, but we're at a party and the music is playing and some people around, and you say, you stepped on my shoe, whether you do the or.
Yeah, right.
Something's gonna happen.
Same person could say this, that nigga got on a nice shirt.
Yeah. And
that
see,
ain't,
it
that
depends.
ain't,
Right.
But see, it's just like you using the word, but you don't mean it, because you could use any. You could say, you could get upset with somebody and say anything, and if you mad, you mad. You know, and if you cool with, it's like you know, somebody like a boy. Using the word boy used to be bad, especially other people calling you boy. And especially if you're not, when you say you're a good boy. Now, if I am a boy, you know, I remember my dad getting mad. Took me to the hospital, and it was a white nurse, and she was like, yeah, he cut his hand, but he's a good boy. He's like, my dad got upset. I didn't understand. Right. But I wasn't brought up with that.
Got you.
And then I understood when I learned the history. And so when I become a man, you can't call me no boy.
Okay.
A woman, even if you can't call me a boy, you know, because that's derogatory. But when I am a boy, that's what I am.
But what if somebody say, oh, there go my boy?
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's my boy. And I say that now. Yo, nah, that's my boy Rich. That's my boy, blah, blah, blah. But it's not derogatory.
Right. It's not derogatory in the context, but the word itself is what I'm looking at. And going back to the historical aspect, the dehumanizing aspect. And it's really a craft to take it and to switch it, to flip it like that, because we're the only ones that do that. Because no other people, you call somebody a hunky, you know, they don't take that word hunky and make it good, or it's just us. But that shows I guess, how we can manipulate just life, everything, and show it in a light where we're a unique type of people, man, that we can take something like that and roll with it. Like
you got an agreement on here. Charles Campbell, what's up, Chuck? He said, I hear you, brother. He said they are just ignorant. Okay, but see, they used to do this too. They say fool. What's up, fool? You know, what's up, fool? Fool, what's up, man? You know, but they don't, you know, they ain't calling you a real fool. It's just something that we do that nobody else really does. And we use words like they use our cool, you know, shade. And I heard, this is why I'm saying shade, because I heard that on ESPN this morning, or even on a podcast, local podcast for sports. And the white guy, he's a pastor. He said, well, I'm not trying to throw shade. I'm like, I know where you got that from. They use our words, but it's not like we the ones that do that.
Yeah. So I hear you. We really do. And I think this is a beautiful discussion, because those who are out there now, would you give us a call? What you think? What's your take on it? We're not here to debate you, go back and forth. You're not right or wrong. It's just that
Jah is not gonna bite your head off. Y'all agreeing with me. All right?
There go the good cop again. But yeah, it's wonderful. But at the same time, I always look at the context. Okay. And the context has a lot to do with a lot of things that happen.
This is why I love this discussion, because now I can ask you, and I'm trying to get it too. So when Richard Pryor used to do his comedy, why wasn't a big uproar?
Yeah, because people,
because he used it constantly.
I'm gonna tell you why. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because people accepted that he's a comedian, and to them, they didn't even look at the word like you and I. They just listened to it. And he said it so often, it was a part of it, and they didn't even critique it. So it's like the mindset, because had I had an opportunity to talk with him, I wouldn't have told him or asked him, Richard Pryor, you need to stop using it. But I would have asked the question, why do you use that? And he would have told me why. I might have gotten a better understanding. But once you do something so long, it becomes a habit, it becomes nature. And as a people, we're like that in a lot of cases. It's not just the N word. It's a lot of things that we do that sometimes if we do it for so long, like you mentioned, these words that we use, we do it for so long, it becomes a part. That doesn't make it right because he did it. That doesn't make it
shouldn't
right.
have been an uproar when he first started doing it?
It should have been, but as a comedian,
because I know you saying after a while it becomes numb to you. But I'm saying when you first started saying it,
I think it was an uproar. We just didn't know that. See, maybe they might have told him to his face.
I think the older people at that time, because he said that about Bill Cosby joke, and that was Eddie Murphy was saying he talked to, he was impersonating. He said, I talked to Richard Pryor, and he was like, man, Bill Cosby got on me. He's like, man, do da 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 da, because that whole filthy or vulgar type of comedy Red Fox and Richard Pryor was using. Yeah, when they would see people was like, that was abrasive. That was like, but then it's like, you know what? No, this is just
Eddie Murphy and all of them.
Yeah, then they blamed it on rap. And I said that, well, man, it was happening when I was growing up because that word didn't just get invented. I'm talking about with us using it.
Right. So you're right, because you gotta look at the origin, then you gotta look at the historical aspect of it. So if someone were to use the word young or old, I'm not gonna turn cartwheels and go get a gun and blow their brains out. I just want to know, when it comes to that word itself, how it came into being, and even though it's used a different way now, the derogatory aspect of it, the historical aspect of it, to me, sometimes it's like we just need to look at it in a light that some things need to be dealt with and some things don't. And then we're dealing with it now. And I think
so I'm gonna ask this question now. What's the difference in people using it? What difference does it make?
It's what it means.
But I'm saying, no, I know what it means, but I'm saying, what difference do it make? Is it making a difference because young people are doing it? Is it hurting us?
Yeah, I think it's neutral, because there's some, like, say, they have the ideal that you have when it comes, so it doesn't bother me, like me as well. It doesn't bother me. Then there are some that says, yeah, it does. So it causes division. I think it does. I think it's ambivalent.
And that's things between the older and younger generation, because no matter what they do, the fashion that they use,
right.
And we could say, well, you know what? Nobody's going to hire you because you're walking around with your pants. I don't want to see that. And I understand that. But I'm also saying, well, is it hurting? This is my question. Is it hurting us as a people because we're using now? Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, I love her book, The ISIS Paper. She talks about that. No other people calls their woman the B word and the N word, and we're derogatory terms, even though it's a term of endearment with some people or how they're using it. She said no one else does that, but we have been programmed to do that. So I understand. I'm not saying that I'm totally oblivious or on one side, but I'm saying because some of the people that I love and respect, like if you go to Malcolm X, I don't think he'll use that word.
Right.
I don't think that many of the people that I look up to, I know people in the Black Panther Party, they will stop using that word. People in the Nation of Islam, whatever, in the church or the Islamic community, they're not going to use the Black Islamic community. They're not going to use that word because if you become a certain status, then you're going to get rid of the word, the derogatory terms. But to me, when you get in that certain status, if this is your teaching, no matter how old you are, you're going to stop using that word. But I'm saying, does it hurt us as a people? And this is what I'm asking y'all. Does that hurt us as a people using that word?
Yeah, I still go back to it does. And when you say hurt, in terms of, to me, the disrespect, even though the young people are saying it's not, many people have lost their lives over that. So it has to be, it affects us. I'll put it that way. It affects us in a way, because if you and I are at a party or we're just somewhere, it doesn't have to be a party, and you call me that and I don't want to hear it, and we get into it and I hurt you, you hurt me, that's problematic right there. So anytime you have something as a people, there's a lot of things that hurt us as a people. And to me, that's one of the things that affect us, I would say. It affects us in a way.
You believe it's a psychological effect, even though people that's using it, that's thinking it's positive, it's psychological. I think so this is what my question would be also. We did a show some months back, and it was called The Counterfeit Crowns, And so if this extreme using a negative word to address each other, then why does we have a show talking about the positive extreme of addressing each other as king? If you don't want me calling you a nigga, then why is it a problem me calling you a king and queen with some of us? Because that's saying, okay, I'm gonna take it and go to the other extreme, and I'm gonna call you something extremely positive. And even and I'm gonna say like this, in the Islamic community, when because what was happening, East Coast, West Coast, in New York, they say God. They
Mhm.
call you God. Yo, what's up, God?
Mhm.
And on the West Coast, it was dog. What's
Mhm.
up? That's my dog. You
Right.
know, you call somebody a dog, they're
Mhm.
gonna be pissed off
Right.
in some, you know,
Exactly.
factions of society.
Mhm.
You call me a dog,
Mhm.
but nah, that's my dog.
Right. Right.
You know, a dog is to some people is a filthy animal.
Right.
Or some people saying God, we said what is God, they say DOG, and that was just differences, but it was
Right.
all that's my dog.
I hear you. And I'm gonna answer the question you asked at the outset when you asked me what's the difference in calling a person a queen and call king and then calling a person the N-word. Well, because all of our lives we've been put down, we've been psychologically abused, kicked in the teeth, drug in the mud. Everybody and their mama have treated us like dirt. So now here's an opportunity to be positive. So that's a positive situation. So anytime you have a positive and a negative, I'm gonna go with a positive. Not that you're not, you're just posing a question. But that's why we take those kings and queens and we use that, because that's something that to get called the N-word when it first came on the scene for many years, and now you get a chance to use the word king or queen as opposed to the N-word. I think the king and queen wins every time.
And that's great. But I'm saying when we did the show, we was talking about you calling this person a king or queen. They not acting like a king or queen. But I'm saying that's the other extreme, because we were saying it's counterfeit. You know?
Right.
And then you should be. Then to me, I see people that say, well, I'd rather you call them this than that. But there's some people that got a problem. Like, man, they calling themselves kings and queens, and look how they act.
Now, see, that's a whole nother issue too, because when you talk about that aspect of it, you're talking about people who are just throwing the word flippantly. They don't a bit more care about lifestyle. They're just using it because it's a tradition, it's a habit, like the N-word. So now we're talking about looking at the intricacies of the word and breaking it down to how that thing came on the scene, and now where it has derived from, and now to where it is now. And once again, I think it depends on the situation, the person, but I try my best not to use it. When I get angry, every now and then I'll shoot it out there. I'm still working on myself. See, I'm not perfect as well, but I just think that this is a good subject matter that we should talk about, because some people argue and they say, well, the N-word should be banned. Well, you can never ban it. Okay, because it's like you have to go through your metamorphosis with it. So have I, because I know you, and you don't use it. Maybe when you get angry, or if you're just shooting it out there, you use it. You haven't used it on me, except for when we get off the broadcast, you might throw it at me before I leave. But the bottom line is,
somebody gonna be calling it. He used it. He called me.
So we got to look at that thing for what it's worth. And this is beautiful, Kev. This is beautiful, man.
So you say that it's negative ramifications and all this stuff,
the
because
origins.
it's and I'm thinking about Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, and she's talking about the African American Black people that do this. I don't know any other country that's Black.
Okay.
I don't say Brazil.
Okay.
I don't know if they do that. I don't think that's in their culture.
Right.
But they're still not immune to racism, and they had a problem. So I'm trying to think, if it's causing us some kind of psychological problem that's hindering our success, then the people that don't use it, even the groups here in America, the African Americans that don't use it, where are they? Where's the success of them? To say that if it's having a negative effect, this groups and factions of us that don't use it, then they should be blossoming with positivity. I'm saying, so where is it at that they're not seeing the effects of racism and all this stuff?
Well, racism is universal. It's not just in America. So no matter where you go, there's going to be racism. So whether you're in Brazil, whether you're in China, whether you're in Europe, whether you're in North America, South America, or wherever, racism is racism. So there's no group of people that's above the fray.
That's going to be immune to it.
Exactly. So, but the point that I'm trying to make is, when it comes to us and that word is being thrown around the way it is, we're so susceptible to take that and to look at it as if, well, it's really nothing. But it really is something when you look at race, because that's how we were treated. That's what we were called. And we've always been treated.
So if I look at how when they used to freely use that word against us, right? And we were coming out of slavery, we were in slavery, whenever you're thinking of, we called each other anything negative because they were talking about us. It didn't stop us from doing the great inventions that we had. And let me give another example. And I know, like, this was Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam. They changed their name. First it was X, then you get your name, right? And it's like, okay. And this is what I tell them. You could change your name, and you could say that it's bad for my name to be Kevin Lewis. You know, that's a slave name and all this, but that didn't hinder me from the success, because it didn't hinder W.E.B. Du Bois. That's not an African name. Right. It didn't hinder Marcus Garvey. It didn't hinder a lot of us. It didn't hinder Martin Luther King.
But it did hurt a lot of us, because a lot of us, if you do something, I say That's that end. That's all. That end will never be
So
anything.
some of the
Growing
people,
up.
so some of the people that use that, I'm saying, is it not people successful
Oh yeah,
that
no,
come
no,
up
no,
from,
no.
and I'm even
Both ways.
talking about that haven't gone to the college, because it's people that say, well, I don't use that type of terminology, and you go to university or this and that, and then you are not the ones, you're not leading our people,
Yeah,
or that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
It is, that's what I'm saying. So where's the line that people say, well, you using that, this is failure.
Yeah, no, this
failure
yeah,
type concept.
well,
Because it's people that use hip hop that
Mhm.
didn't graduate from high
Mhm.
school.
Mhm.
And they may be leading our people in certain ways, and they still use that word, and they may be in their 50s.
When you've been psychologically tormented with that word, especially some of the older people coming up and always told, boy, you'll never be anything in this, in that, and that stuck with you. Now that you're older, you still haven't shaken that because you see yourself that way, and you see racism. Then you see other people who had to come through that and they were successful. So what I'm trying to say is, it's not an either or, it's both. It's not either or, because you can mention all the people that's successful that they were called that as well as they came up the ranks of education and other things that they did. But at the same time, there were other people who it affected them. And I can't sit here, not you, but I'm sitting, I can't see that it's either or. I think it's both of them is what I'm saying.
Well, I'm not talking about people that's been called that. I'm talking about the people that use that word with each other.
Okay.
The people that use that word like dog, hey, that's my dog, that's my dog, and they still doing things positive because they grew up in that culture with calling this person that's my dog right there. Yo, what's up, dog? You know, hey, you calling somebody dog. People could look at it the same damn way to say, you know what, you calling somebody a dog, you could say you low down dirty dog, and that means something different than saying that's my dog. And that's what I'm saying. So I'm saying not people that's been called that, because you could be called something, and like I say, let it affect you. But I'm talking about when you see another black person or a black woman, you call her this or call her that, but you're not doing it in a way that's derogatory. But people see that as derogatory. But I'm saying they have done positive things and they're going. So I'm saying I'm looking, when I'm asking how is it hindering us, that's what I want to see. What do you see that's hindering our progress as a young people that's using that? Because that's basically what the younger people have taken that word.
Because I go back to a mentality, a mindset. A lot of people don't see us as what you just said. A lot of people use the word and they don't see themselves as a success. They see themselves as the bottom of the barrel. They see themselves as the lowest person on the totem pole. They will live and they will die that way. And that's what I'm saying when it comes to hindering. It will hinder those who allow it to hinder them, because everybody's not like Jah, everybody's not like Kev. We had to go through some things to get to where we are. And a lot of people we're still all on our journey, but they're on their journey as well. So I'm saying that it helps in a sense if that's how they use it and let it be positive to what they're doing. But it also is a hindrance, especially when you have a parent telling a child when they grow up, you'll never be anything. And that child grows up.
They can use any word.
Yeah, but that word itself, word is loaded, because when Gabinal and these guys that actually came up with the concept in Sweden, in England, in Germany, in France, these guys that use taxonomy and put classifications on words and put definitions on words, that's what I'm saying is the part that's not good. But
I have some boots that's called nigas.
Okay.
And they say that they took that word, we let the European take that word and use it in a negative way. Right. And they say nigas was a royalty.
Okay.
And I heard Kendrick Lamar say that. So us saying this is that. So I mean, they could use it for whatever they want, or they could say, I mean, one way or another. But I know another word that used to be bad in the black community, used to be bad culturally when other people used it against us, was black. Now I use that like I'm proud to be black. I'm like, I don't say the pot calling the kettle black. I say that's a compliment.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, so it used to be coming up, people say you black so and so.
Right.
You
right,
black
right.
in our
Exactly.
and there's still people that say that you black so, but we took that word black and we like, nah, this is something I wear as a badge. You damn right I'm black.
Yeah.
Black power, black beauty, black, because they used it negatively. And if a white person say you black so and so, we gonna get upset with them, right? Because we know that they use, but I'm saying that word, or African. We used to say you African this, you African that. Look at you black like an African.
Right.
But now, because we've educated ourselves, and now we flip that word around, that's not negativity, that's positivity.
Right. That's the mindset. And once again, but when these Europeans came up with the concept of the N-word, it was nothing like what you just gave the definition of, because Carl Linnaeus,
what does you said Negro in Spanish, right?
Well, yeah, that just means black.
Black.
It means
right.
black.
So that's what I mean. So
but down south, they didn't say
I
Negro.
know, but I'm saying they took that word and they made something negative, and we took it and we aren't using the ER.
Right.
we using it in a
Well,
different way.
some of us are. It depends on the
Yeah,
context.
I
Because
mean,
some of the young boys might, like Josiah said, some of them might put the ending on it. But again, the connotations, these Europeans, what they did with that, I think that is still, and it's still psychologically affecting us now. That's not good. It never will be good. Even though there's pockets of us, like you mentioned, who they understand that this is a growth process and it doesn't affect them. They do what they do, and regardless of what you and I or anybody else say, they got their mindset on maybe progress and all that. Everybody's not like that, is all I'm saying.
yeah, I don't think any of us is like anything. We all over the place in the Black community. And let me read some of these comments. Andrea Wilson, she said, I appreciate you showing up. She said, people would say, when someone was acting against other Black people, people say that that person was acting like an N-word, meaning that they were mistreating their own. And I appreciate that. I've never, I heard them say the coon, you know, and things like that. But that's something that we came up with. I mean, they used to call us a coon,
Right.
but now when we use that word, it means a certain thing. That's a Black person. Like when they said it, you just a coon. Like they'll call us a coon.
Wow.
You know, that meant a Black person. Now, when we say it against one of us, that means someone that's acting like she was saying, in a way of you bowing down or cowering down to white people and doing that type of things. Josiah said women are shifting the B word to mean something positive. I hear a lot, for example, that they say that's my B right there. And the original meaning was supposed to be negative. And actually, I'm gonna say this: the original meaning wasn't negative, because a bitch is just a female dog.
Right.
But then when you used it negatively, that it's like you calling me a dog, you know, or you say a dude is acting like a woman, you know, because what you saying when you call somebody, you call a dude a B word, then you saying that means he's acting like a woman. And actually you saying that's a woman.
Yeah.
A B is a woman, but it's actually, that's a female dog, a female canine.
Right.
So the original word for it wasn't negative.
Right.
And now it means something. That's what I'm saying. Words change,
Yeah.
and people use the words differently.
Yeah, because the English language is called the bastardized language, because you can take it in what you mentioned now. You can take a word and in one era it may mean something, and it may change over the centuries. But for the most part, when you go back to the N word, I think that the origin and the historical aspect, I can't get off of that. Not that that's going to be end all tell all, but that does a lot to us psychologically. And I think a lot of us, like when you mentioned with Richard Pryor, I think he was just unconscious when it came. That was just
he said something about going to Africa, and he noticed. He said there was no niggas there.
Yeah.
But then when I look at Africa, you know,
yeah, but they weren't those who were taken from Africa. I'm sure when the Europeans went into Africa, they were called them that because the Europeans spoke English or in their language.
Well, they had a different word for them in South Africa too, that Gandhi wanted to use. So I mean, people had different derogatory terms for us in their language or whatever. So that's or whatever their culture. They may speak English, but in their culture they mean something else. I know when there was a whole thing last year with the Black and Puerto Rican, Hispanic thing going against each other over the hip hop creation thing. The Black people were talking about how they used to call them something that a Spanish term that meant like a climber, like a tree climber, which they was calling them like something similar to a monkey. Now that word wouldn't have meant nothing to me because I didn't know what it meant in Spanish. I don't know your term, so that word would have had no power over me.
I hear you.
So, because I don't speak your language, if somebody would have said whatever they say about them in South Africa, it wouldn't have meant nothing to me. I'd have been asking, like, if I went to Germany. You know, when I went to Germany, when they was trying to teach us German, I'm like, I want to know what they call us, because I want to know when somebody's trying to put me down. But if they would have said that without me knowing the meaning, it wouldn't have meant anything to me.
And we've taken the word, you know, the N word, we use it in music, and I'm not just talking about hip hop, like you said, it was around way before then, but we've taken it. We use it in hip hop. We use it in poetry. We use it in every aspect of life that we have. And to me, I think we should just every now and then have this discussion. Now, it's not gonna stop the word being used, but I think that discussion is warranted, because I'd like to ask, like you asked me some beautiful questions earlier. I'd like to ask some people when they use it all the time, why do you use that? Not you, but I'm saying to see where they're coming from, because some of it is just sheer conditioning. You know, they may not mean any harm, but they hear everybody else say it, so they say it.
And I think if they look at it as being negative, I think it's going to mean negativity to them. Oh, because they say, you know, a nigga gonna do this or no. And we could say, you could say black person, you could say what they say, colored people time, right? And I heard Michelle Obama say something like that, colored people time. It was funny,
right?
You know, there's a bunch of white people at some kind of bar, and she said that colored people time. We make fun of that. Now that's a negative, saying that we're always late, you know. So we could get mad at that. And what we tend to do also is we take something negative and either we make it humorous, we make light of it, and we have to say, I see people say that white people don't, we make humor out of a lot of things that you may see. That's why Richard Pryor could get away with it. That's why a lot of these comedians could get away with saying some of the things they say, because we laugh at the things that may cause pain sometimes, or that some people see it like that. I'm gonna read a comment Leah Howard said. I think also it shows our community transforms things meant to harm us into something we embrace as part of our culture. To me, that's a shield. To me, that could be seen as a superpower, because if I'm taking away your weapon that you're using against me, and now when I'm using it, then what power do you have over me? Now, like I say, some people that let other people say certain things, then like I say, then you're letting that person, and to me, they're trying to hurt you. And you even see that in relationships. When people go through split ups or breakups, and they be the same way, they're gonna try to say something that's gonna hurt you. And if what you saying don't hurt me, then it don't matter to me. Because I had a black woman in a relationship, and she was calling me because she felt, oh, he don't like the N-word. You in? And I'm like, that's pretty good. Like that, you don't have. It's not gonna make me react. You know what I'm saying?
And I know, because there's a lot of things that's going on in our lives today when it comes to words and how we use words and how we've been conditioned. And I still go back to this. Many of us who use the N-word, we've never looked at. We've never had any type of insight as to the origin, the historical aspect. When we came on the scene, it was used, especially some of the younger generation, because when we came up, we knew those were fighting words pretty much. But they come into this world, and it's like, this is a part, as the sister says, this is a part of our culture. This is what we have adopted. We have taken this, and now we're using it, and we don't mean any harm. But I'm saying that a lot of these words that we use, especially back in the day, that people used against us, we take them and we do something with them, but it doesn't take away the fact that those words in many instances still means exactly what they meant back then.
To them, I mean, like I say, the black thing, you call somebody a black so-and-so, to me, that's power. I'm gonna say that too. Black was the same thing, and they'll put both of them together. You black, blah, blah, you black, nigga, you whatever. And I'm like, okay, but you know what? You calling me black, that's power to me. And you know what? I'm gonna take that as power. And I say that today. I go to work, and I'm not gonna say, if somebody said that at the job, well, that's like the pot calling the kettle black. I'm gonna be like, well, what the compliment got to do with it? Why the pot complimenting the kettle, or the what the compliment? I'm gonna say that because I want them to know black is not, and we'll say that. We'll tell somebody that's like the pot calling the kettle black, and it's like, that's not, and that's ingrained in our mind. I'm like, what the compliments got to do with that? So that's what I'm saying. We giving that word power, because people could say giving names is power, and I understand that. You could say, well, your name is Princess or whatever. You say you're giving your kids some type of power, and then, but I'm saying we could say that, but it's not necessarily so, because people that have a regular name like Bob or whatever, they go on to do great things.
Exactly.
It's their mindset.
Right, exactly. So when you around your friends or what have you, do you use it often, or just
I don't use it. I basically don't use it at all. I don't use that word, because to me,
even when you get angry, you say
and this is like, my kids can attest to this.
Okay.
And see, I use an MF. I mean, I'm gonna say it. I don't. I don't use that word like that, because it doesn't, that to me, but and anybody could be that, but my kids will tell you, it's a lot. I'm very conscious of things we do, how we do things. Coming up in my house, I had a pool table, and I got this from Dr. Frances Cress Wellesley, which I say the ISIS paper, that's a good, she's talking about psychological things, like using the N word, the B word, and all these things to put each other down. But she's also from an older school. And to me, psychology has to grow with your culture. And if you could tell me how it has negatively affected us, and you could show me that, then maybe I would be more tune into what you're saying. But like the using a pool ball. She's talking about the games we create. The Europeans create a game where the white ball is controlling all the balls of color on something that's symbolic of the earth, on a green grass, and they're putting them in the hole. And you saving the ball for last, the black ball. And what we say, you blackballing somebody, and that's what I'm saying. The psychological, my kids will attest to that I'm like, no, we don't use that to do this. We don't do that to do this. So, and maybe it's going to have a positive effect, but I'm just saying, I don't want the negativity psychological.
See, Kev, you're an anomaly, because as you go back down to history and memory lane, you bringing up things that's wonderful, how you did as far as teaching your children, and just you were conscious. At least you may not have been where you are now, but you had enough knowledge to know. Let's talk about this, because you always
Right.
telling illustrations as to how you taught. What I'm trying to say is everybody's, and I know that you're not saying they are, but everybody's not like that. We
Right.
have people that live in the ghetto. We all in the ghetto in our minds, in a sense, but we have people live in the ghetto, and that's all they hear as kids growing up. And I'm telling you, that's negative, because they're not strong enough to say, "Well, that doesn't bother me because
Right.
I'm strong now and I can go through life." And it's not. Some of the older people, they'll tell you stories now where if you ask them about their self-worth, their identity, that's why we talk about Africa in many instances. We talk about those who came on before us to pave the way, because we're trying to tell the kids and all of us, hey, we're not those people. We're not ends. We're people who are intelligent. We're people who are builders, and we go on down memory lane as to what we've done to add some spice to the world in which we live in. Because a lot of people, I'm not going to say a lot, but I say many people, they don't have this mindset that we have while we're talking about the N word. All they know is that they're no good, and that if something happens, they'll say, "See, I told you." That end, I knew it. I knew that end was going to end up doing this way, because in their mind, psychologically, like you said, this is kind of the mindset that many of us have. Not all of us, but a lot of us have it, and that's the divide to me, and that's not good.
And to me, I think you got to change the individuals. I think the words and all this stuff, and that it probably has an effect. If you calling somebody growing up, calling your kids something negative, if they feel that that's negativity, I think it's going to
Yeah.
affect them some type of way. Or you could call them king or whatever, and you treating them negative, and I think that's going to have a negative effect them. Or if they see somebody that you're calling a king and this person is nothing or doing bad to our people, that's where the counterfeit crowns come in.
Yeah,
I'm not. I don't advocate us calling each other kings and queens until we start acting like
that's
kings and
good.
queens.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm looking at that extreme because I came on here and I said that, and then we're talking about us using the word, the N word. That's why I say I'm torn in that, because I got to look at if I'm adverse to us calling each other something negative, saying it's going to have a negative effect. Then the other extreme of that is call us each other positive, because what we've been through with this word, then it should be something to call us kings and queens. And people that I've known been saying, nah, but we shouldn't be using that. Or, you know, the greatest word you could use, which I don't believe in people doing that, not my beliefs don't believe in that, is calling someone God.
Okay.
Because if somebody revere God as the highest or almighty,
Mhm.
then he's saying, like they say that in the 5%ers, what's up, God, God this, God that,
Mhm.
you know, then what you're doing, you're bestowing a title on them.
Mhm.
And some of us will say you shouldn't do that because that's our religion or beliefs.
Mhm.
But I'm saying, so how can we say don't call someone something great that's been drugged through the mud? And then we saying don't call them this when they was drugged through the mud, they was called that. It's like, to me, it can't be a medium, because if you were called everything under the earth that's negative, then you should want them. The only way you balance out a negative is to give it the equal amount of positive
Mhm.
in the other direction. So
So yeah,
that's
I think that's really an important point, man. I just go back to when it comes to us as a people, we have so many issues that we face mentally, emotionally, psychologically as a people, and these types of discussions are discussions that more of us should have, even when we're sitting around our family reunions, and just act so we can kind of understand, because a lot of us don't understand. But I believe, like you mentioned, the brothers and the different faith aspect that calls people, "What's up, God?" When you really look at that, a lot of that is just learned behavior. They were
right.
taught that, because they can't go back and break it down to really say that these people are God. They say that because this is the religion that they're in, and this is how they greet each other. And if you ask them, even if they give you a definition, it's not going to be anything that you and I would say, well, that's really real. No, it's not. But that's just
Yeah, I
what they
think to
say.
them, they think of it not that you this mystical thing. I think they say you the cream of the planet Earth and things like this.
Mhm.
You're creation. You're the creation of this planet.
Mhm.
So if that's what you believe, or science will back that up and all that, and then you calling them a God. But my thing, say, well, you know, to you, that's what God is. To me, God is something totally different.
Mhm.
So I don't get into that because that's their belief
Mhm.
system. But I'm saying ingratiating someone with that term, or any term that means something great,
Mhm.
if you've been bombarded with something negative, that should balance that out and say, well, you need this
Yeah.
greatness
Yeah.
or this title. But it's people that say don't do that.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
that's
Right.
what I'm saying. I understand the negative, but to me, the greatest power is taking away someone's weapon against you.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this, when a white person called me the ER,
Mhm.
if I don't have anything to come back with them intellectually,
Right.
then I'm gonna be balling up my fist.
Right.
And I'm gonna be like, nah, you know what? I'm gonna say something back to you.
Yeah.
And you know,
But most people gonna throw blows because
yeah.
that's again. I mean, it's so deep seated, man. It's much deeper than the Jah and Kev show when it comes to inside people's hearts and their minds and their history and the things we've gone through and their grandmother, their great grandfather, and the stories they were told. It's so deep and it's so many layers. So we're not here today to try to tell you that it's either or. It's just that the discussion has to be made. It has to be had, man.
Yeah. Leah Howard says, she said the black ball is the superior ball in pool. I appreciate that. And yeah, I remember going like to Dallas and playing like for work. They sent us to training. And you know, you're there with a bunch of people from all over. And they like, you want to play pool? Yeah. And I'm like, well, no, we don't play pool like that. And they looking at me like, somebody say, no, y'all doing it wrong. I'm like, no, we're doing it right. And I have no problem telling people this is why I play this, because that's a psychological thing. Why is the white ball the ball that could go in the hole and get out of the hole, reset on the table? Any other ball that goes in the hole, it stays there, it's dead. You know, you knock the black ball in too soon, it's dead. And these are books because I learned from Dr. Francis Cress Wells, and then there's other authors, Fuller. I mean, you could go in, but this is what we need to be teaching our kids. And if we don't want to do the work to teach them, then you can't be pounding them on their head when they don't know. So my thing is, when we're older and the older people say they upset about this, then what are you doing to teach them better?
Nothing but complaining and griping and arguing and fussing with them about don't be doing this, you know, you be this and that, the other. So yeah, and that's one of the things too, that as we get older, we don't, and this is something that all of us have to accept. When we get older, we don't acknowledge truth when it comes to research and, you know, just investigating. We don't do that. We just have our jobs, we have our lives, we have what we do every day. Not all of us, but most of us do. So therefore there's no time to be talking like you and I are talking when the N-word is used. Because if a mother asks another sister of another child and says, well, why do you call your children that? You know, she's gonna say something or other. Instead of the lady having the conversation about, isn't this a learned behavior? Why would you do that? They're gonna curse, probably either get angry or just say, well, you know, just blow it off. So people can't get deep because they get into it, because these are the subjects that we like to evade. And again, we adults, as you said, you hit the nail on the head. We are going to complain till the cows come home, but we're not going to sit down and talk about the whys, the interrogatives.
Where they get it from? Where are they getting it from? It's generations. People say, well, it's rap music. I'm gonna say, no, Richard Pryor was doing it. Eddie Murphy was doing it, and they doing it in movies and older movies, or the black exploitation and Dolomite and all that stuff. Was that, I mean, you know what I'm saying? You didn't seen Dolomite, so I know when you bust out laughing. But that's what I'm saying. That was from a generation of that being passed down. That means nothing. You know, Shaft. I don't care. It's all, you know, but when is it going to stop?
It's
you know,
not.
if it's going to run through the community, or if it's not going to stop, then to me, make it mean nothing. It's not going to have an effect on us.
It's not going to stop, because I'm telling you now, man, that has been ingrained in us as a people. Whether some of us don't say it, whether some of us say it occasionally when we get angry, whether we never say it at all, whether we use it every 5 seconds, it's not going to stop, because it's like it's in us, man. It's in us. It's been in us ever since we've been brought over here, and nothing is going to take it away. And then you don't have many people like yourself, myself, and others who will say, let's talk about this. Let's see what we can do to try to make sure that this doesn't damage us. We don't have time for that. So it's going to go on.
I think that it's a lot different work that needs to be done before we start, because I think that's going to take care of itself. But it's a lot of work that we need to work on, a lot of things we need to work on that's bigger than that. To me, when I hear older people talk about the N-word, it's like those commercials that you see on TV where it's like, oh, you got this potato peeler and oh, it does this, and you chop your finger off, you know, and then they show you get this one and the lady is happy. You know, things are not just going to be hunky-dory when we stop using the N-word. I think it's going to be, if you do the work, then people going to stop using the N-word. You know, if you start teaching them or start building them in a certain way, they're going to stop doing it. We have another comment. Leah Howard said, it has a normalization of the N-word in music and everyday conversation, diluted its historical weight, or it is a form of redamnation, and the only black people should control.
Yeah,
she said, or is it a form of
reclamation?
Oh, that's reclamation. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
A reclamation that only black people should control.
Yeah.
Would you want to answer that?
Well, if we're going to control it, it has to go back to the positive. It has to mean us good. It can't
Yeah.
mean us negative. And I don't think we can do that because there's not enough of us who's going to sit down and have this discussion and actually talk about it. Because for every person that's talking like you and I trying to, assess this thing, you got a whole group of people that's saying, man, forget them. You know what? I don't
Yeah,
care
I mean,
about
they're
that.
gonna look at old people and say, "Nah, that's that old." Because, like, I think young people have taken that, and I'm not. Some of them that's taken that, they not. It's not this generation coming up has done it. It was just my generation that has used it in hip hop and things like that in a way that is neutral. It means negative and positive. It's just like I say, dog. That's my dog, or you a dog. Like somebody, a woman calling a man a dog, that means that he's promiscuous and he's going out there whoring and all that stuff. Another dude saying that's my dog, that means totally something different.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that word could mean, and we do that in the black community
Yeah.
to where we take a word and it can mean this, that, or the other.
Mhm.
And it depends on how you're using it. So it doesn't really scar me to say that, oh, that's somebody said that's my dog.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now I have a family member. Every time I see her, man, every other word is the N word. And I love her to death. This is just what she does. Now,
Yeah.
to ask her, why do you use that so often? She's not gonna say anything that you and I. She's just gonna say because she's heard it so much. It's a part of her like this. This is something that she does. She could care less about what it means, even if whether it's positive or negative. It's neutral. She just uses it because that's a
Yeah.
part of her vernacular, and that's what she does.
And I think when people have a limited vocabulary, I heard them Farrakhan say this about cursing. You curse because you don't know the words to use.
Mm.
And that's when I say, when I get into it, someone says something and I come back with them something, I'm using a colloquial euphemism that you don't, then they like, oh, like, what did you just say?
Mhm.
Like, oh yeah, oh, okay, you stupid. Let me slow it down for you and let me say it. And I'm gonna say it like that because
Yeah.
people say you got a smart. I'm gonna say something over their head
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna come down, I'm gonna bring it. Let me bring it down to you because I know you didn't know what I just said. And that's going to be more of a hit on them because you calling me something and you think I'm this and I'm actually that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so to me, when you don't have the vernacular
Mhm.
to bombard somebody with something,
Mhm.
derogatives or whatever, then you're going to just say you this and this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think you all, we have about 4 minutes left, but we definitely want to let you know as we leave this place, we want you to know that the word is being used, religiously. And we're saying that at all costs, not so much whether you use it or not, but if it's used on you, try not to allow that to get you into some serious trouble where you have to deal with the consequences that if you really think about it, you shouldn't have done it. And to those who use it often and you don't mean any harm, if that's what you're going to do, we can't stop you. And to those who, like myself, who say, well, I try to refrain from it because I know where it comes from. Even to those people like that, still do something positive. And when you hear it, don't act like you ain't never heard it before because
Right.
you hear some of everything. So we just want you to know that you really need to have that discussion with those around you to just kind of pick their brains just to see. That's why I asked this man at the outset, about why, do you use it and why, just to kind of hear what he had to say. And I'm good with it.
I'm gonna say this to people. I'm gonna caution you because people, if they could trigger you with that word, and this is something that's happening with all this legalization of carrying weapons and stuff. They want and then standing my ground and things like this. And I've seen videos. I used to do this, and people provoke you, and they know that that's a way that they can provoke you to act aggressively. And they're doing that because they have an upper hand and they're ready to pull out, and they're looking for someone to pull out on that looks like you. They're going to use that word to try to provoke you into getting aggressive with them, and then they got a reason because in court you can't say, well, he called me the N-word, so I went over there and I punched him in the mouth. Okay, yeah, you could do that, but when you run into that person to punch him in the mouth and they pull out on you because they fear for their life,
right,
they're going to use that to promote. So I'm saying you take away their power. You got to understand if they're doing that for a reason.
Yeah, really. And you just have to be wise and conscious and cognizant, just aware of the fact that the word is not going to go anywhere. So we didn't come on here tonight to say ban it. We didn't come on here tonight to say use it, but we do come on here tonight to say when you hear it, when it's used, make sure that you can make sense out of your life and don't let it affect you to the degree where you don't want to be around people, or you're going to go off on people, or you're trying to control people, because this is something that's been with us since the 1600s, and I don't think it's going to leave anytime soon.
Yeah, and I think I'd say I applaud y'all to use that. Like you flip it and it doesn't mean anything to you. Some people using it just out of ignorance, like Chuck said earlier. People use it because they don't have another word, or that's what's cool in the street, or that's what's chic that we do. Like Leah was saying, that's people's vocabulary. That's the hip hop, that's the cool thing, that's the young thing. A lot of older people act like it may hurt their ears, and that's fine. But to me, curse words, period. Calling me the N-word and calling me a fool, to me, I used to get upset when they say, "What's up, fool?" Blah, 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 and I would say, "Yo, man, blah blah blah." But then I start understanding that's how these dudes talk.
Right.
And I say, "Man, this dude just called me a fool," like blah. And it's like, oh, but then I start understanding that's what you. And then with that that gives you a badge. To me, I'm gonna put a badge on you, the ignorant badge, and I'm gonna say this is where that person is, and I'm gonna treat you as such. I'm not gonna be. I'm like, well, you don't know any better.
Wow, this was good, man. This was really, really good.
I knew it was gonna be a good discussion,
and
man.
see, you guys that watch this broadcast, you should really know when we get at it. We do not rehearse this. Me and this man. In fact, once these cameras go off, we're gonna be throwing blows up.
He gonna be calling me you N one. Jah, that don't upset me, bro.
But this is what it's all about: speaking your mind and letting people know when it's all said and done. Jah and Kev loves you. Keep watching this broadcast and tell people about learning. So we'll see you guys again. So
subscribe to our channel.
Yep. And email us to it, the Jah Kev Show at gmail.com. We out.
Peace.